So anyways, back to small world, big world, whatever the case is. My friend and his girlfriend, they both went on a 2-month Europe trip, backpacking across all of Europe, all the different countries, beautiful time. And I didn't know where they were going, when they were going, whatever the case is. I end up going during, I believe, June to Italy. I'm in Venice with my brother. We're walking through this random, it's not even the main like part, like street in Venice. It's like a off, like, one of the little ones. I'm walking with my brother. And I'm like, Steve, I think I know that guy, right? And you can't miss him because, you have a whole bunch of Italians, Europeans, all like me and you, dark hair, features, whatever the case is. And he has he's Irish, so he stands out. His girlfriend has blonde hair, blue eyes, whatever the case is. So I'm like, Steve, I recognize him. As soon as I point over there, he points at me and we're pointing at each other. And it was my friends. It was both of them. How crazy is that?
That were
backpacking in Europe for 2 months. They're from the same town I am. Did not know where they would be, what they were doing. Randomly see them, and we ended up running into each other. And then guess what? On top of that, just running into each other, the next 4 days of our trip matched up. So then after Venice, we went to Florence. We went to Rome together.
Yeah.
And we had the same schedule.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And when does that happen?
Yeah.
Like, little stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very small world. It's crazy, right?
And I believe in crazy stuff. So many times, where maybe you're sitting and you say a word, and whatever show you're watching, they said the exact same word, like almost at the same time. Did you ever experience that? Or
many times.
Like that?
Yeah. Little stuff like that. It's
that's...
It's so too good to be true, but it is true. And I always say, coincidences are a tool usually used by fools or liars, except when it comes to God. God sometimes, whatever the case is, it's God's work and it puts it together, whatever the case is. And other times it's used by fools, liars to try to manipulate whatever the case is. But God has a way. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
it's crazy.
I agree. I'm, born and raised Catholic, and so
I have a question. You were born here in Philly, correct?
South Philly.
Philly. And then now, have you moved out of the city, or how far are you?
Yeah, so so now in my life, I live in the Harrisburg area, our state capital, and I'm remarried, and my wife and I, we each had a boy and a girl, and 7 grandkids between us.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. So,
that's amazing.
I'm busy, man.
It's better to be busy than not busy.
6 boys and 1 girl.
Wow.
All under the age of 8.
God bless.
So, yeah.
God bless.
Yeah,
we are here with Nick Ferraro. As you can see here, he has his own band. Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've done, all the work you've been doing. You've been acting, you're in a band, you're with Bruce Springsteen, so many different things. Tell us about it, man.
So, in that intro, it's like, where do you begin?
Right? I know.
So,
that's a lot, right?
Yeah. I guess, it starts with roots. And growing up in South Philly, my dad actually would organize a talent show for the neighborhood, as kids. So I was always one to entertain, even at the age of 8, 7, 9 years old. Always had an outgoing personality, and just always thought that as I kept growing up, that I would be involved in some sort of entertainment, whether it be acting or singing or whatever. So,
were you a singer growing up? Did you sing a lot?
Well, with when my dad's talent show that he organized, I would sing, and that in the shower. I had the
everybody's
right, exactly. But it wasn't until I guess it was living in Upper Darby in Delco there. I guess it was '85, I think it was.
Delco.
A local bar, Brownie's, and Brownie's Pub had a talent show. So I knew my next door neighbor, and I was working at this point. I just got married. As a matter of fact, just had a son. And my next door neighbor I knew played drums. His brother played bass. So I went, hey, Rick, you know, I said, Brownie's Pub has a talent show. Why don't we get some guys together and we'll enter it, you know? So
How old were you exactly, you think?
So at that time, I was 24 years old.
So you're around my age.
So
I'm 26 now.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
turned.
So I was about 24. So I grabbed. It was 2 guitar players, bass player, and drums, and we talked about it. We got together. And we're like, okay, what do we want to do? And I'm like, well, we need to differentiate ourselves. So why don't we do an Elvis show? You know. So they're like, all right. So we learned, I don't know how many Elvis songs. I rented this like obnoxious Elvis suit from like a truck company or something. I don't know, it was crazy. And we entered into the contest and we kept advancing. It was a situation where you would vote and then keep moving on, and we kept advancing. We made it to the finals. We called ourselves the King and Company. We won the talent show. We won $500. There was 5 of us.
Not bad.
So yeah, so as I was packing up my stuff, I remember someone came up and they were like, man, where are you guys playing at? And I'm like, we're not really a band. We just learned these songs just for the talent show. Just for the talent show. I'm like, you would actually like come see us? They're like, yeah. I'm like, you would pay to see us? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'll get back to you. You know?
Now we got something rolling.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how like it all started. So then we learned 40 songs, and I started booking as the King and Company. And then I had moved to Maryland, got a new band, the King and Company. Then I moved to Lancaster County, got a new band, the King and Company. And then shortly after I stopped because it was getting to be too much. I was starting to have a family. I had 2 kids then. And then I said, well, now this new thing's coming out called karaoke. Maybe I'll get Elvis karaoke music and sort of just on my own. It's a lot easier to manage. It's just me. And that's what I did. And by the way, prior to all that, going in college and all, I took up acting. So I was involved in movies and like student films and things like that in college. So I was always dipping into whether it was acting or now singing and things like that. So in 1992, I got a phone call, or 1991, I got a phone call. Someone called me and said, hey, I understand you do Elvis. We're looking for a guy that does Elvis with our band, the Fabulous Heartbreak Band. Can you audition? I'm like, yeah. So I went there, and they're like, by the way, we don't just do Elvis. We do, like, all kinds of music. Do you do that as well? I'm like, yeah, of course, which I never did, but I was like, yeah, of course. So I auditioned, yeah. And
I'll make it work.
yeah, exactly. And they hired me, whatever, and I joined the band, the Heartbreak Band, and throughout the entire 90s into the 2000s, we were a really good band. It was a 7-piece band. We did dance music, we did the Elvis show, we did a Patsy Cline tribute. I don't know if you're familiar with Patsy Cline.
Sounds familiar.
She was a country singer in the 50s.
Just Patsy, the
Yeah.
name Patsy sounds familiar.
Patsy Cline, she did, what's her most, Crazy, that song, Crazy.
Maybe if I hear it.
Yeah, I'm sure. But anyway, so we had an agent, and he booked us one time to open up for the Coasters. Again, it's an oldies band, 50s band. And we did real well, so we started opening up for a lot of oldie bands that were still playing in the 90s, like the Coasters, the Drifters, the Platters, the Marvelettes, Bobby Rydell, Philly Boy. In Hershey, we opened up for Bobby Rydell, so we did all that. And then at the same time, again, the acting was always there with me as I was sort of dabbling in commercials and things like that. And then, I left that, and I feel like I'm rambling. I mean, there's so much in my life here. I got so much going on, but...
Real quick, I want to talk about how the littlest decision can change your life. Right? The smallest decision can change your life. Yep. You decided to enter the talent show, and now you have Nick Ferraro and the All-Stars. They perform, right? You're performing March 1st, Ballroom at the Phoenix, Booth 1 PA, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. But like the smallest decision affects the rest of your life. From 24 years old, you made a decision to go into the talent show.
Yep.
Until this day.
Well, you know what? I never really thought of it like that, but you're exactly right.
Well, it's crazy. Every day we live, whatever decision you make could change the rest of your life, and people don't realize. It's like whether you decide you want to talk to this woman, right? Whatever the case is, ask her out, and then she becomes your wife, and
Oh yeah.
right. But if you didn't do that, what if someone else came and they did it, and then changes whole outlook on the whole entire life
Absolutely.
in your lifespan? So, like, the littlest decision right there changes everything. But besides that, talk about, let's say, your acting. How did you start getting into different roles? Did you get an agent? How does that process work for anyone that's not familiar?
Specifically as far as acting goes, let me say this. You have to understand your role of what you want to accomplish in the acting field. Because if you truly want to say, I want to be an actor, like a full-time serious actor, then you have to commit to that. And your passion and your drive has to be that. So, which means you may have to move to New York, or you may have to move to Hollywood, or you have to proactively go and if you don't have an agent, then belong to things like Backstage.com and Actors Access. These are like organizations on the internet that you can join, and they provide you leads for auditions, things like that. But you just have to live it 24/7. That's the first thing.
You have to do it.
Yeah, some people say, "Well, man, how do you become an actor?" Like, well, you just like I said, you have to commit. I mean, you have to do everything that needs to be done.
When it comes to work ethic, do you think that's a lost trait in today's society?
Say that again, sorry.
When it comes to hard work, work ethic, do you believe that's that's a lost trait in today's society?
Oh, there's no question. I think because today's society, people get things easier, I guess. Or
Instant gratification.
Right, exactly. Like, they don't understand. Like, they may see someone and go, man, that guy's lucky. How did he's got all this money, and doesn't realize all the effort and sweat and tears that that person put in for 20 years to get to that point. Or, it's not like, okay, I want to be a big star.
And it just happens.
Give it to me. Yeah, where's my role?
I'm
good enough.
That's
It
how people
doesn't work
think
that way.
nowadays.
Yeah.
That's how people think nowadays with TikTok and Instagram. Things go viral, whatever the case is. I feel like their bandwidth has shortened, where everything needs to be instant gratification. If they need something, Google, this, whatever the case is,
Yeah.
on their phones. Everything's become so quick. You want to watch a movie, turn on TV, bam, you got it right on my phone right here.
Exactly.
Before, you had to go to the movies.
Yeah.
Now you got hundreds and hundreds of different titles and movies and shows all at your fingertips.
Yep. Exactly.
So,
I mean, I would just tell someone, listen, and the path that I took was, I went on Backstage.com, and even student films. Like, some actors say, like, I'm not doing student films, but I
feel like they're too
I
good.
did anything that I could to
Do
get
everything.
out there, to get my name out there, and then I think what really caught me a break was I auditioned, which I found on Backstage.com. They were auditioning for a movie called Backfire, and I got a supportive role in that, which it didn't star any A-list actors, but some good B-list actors, and a real good director, and then that got me to meet people in the industry, things like that.
build connections.
Yep. And then that plus being on stage with Bruce Springsteen, and then they made a documentary from it called, not from that, but I was part of it, called Springsteen and I. And then that gave me a lot of connections, people who I've met who now are like really good friends of mine. And that sort of just, like you said,
Catapults.
right, keeps going more and more.
It's like a plane that's going up, right?
Right.
And it keeps on going up. Once you break through that plane, like that roadblock, whatever you want to call it, and then it's just a little more smooth sailing than before.
Yep.
But to touch on something, you talked about B-list actors, how you're in Backfire in that film. Recently, I heard you're with an A-list actor, Robert De Niro, in a film. Tell us
Yes.
something about that.
So here's another great story as to how I even got the audition. So at that time, I didn't have an agent. And I was in a musical in Jersey, as I did. I was doing all these different things. And I was in a musical called, they call it gravy, we call it sauce.
That's awesome.
Okay, or we call it sauce,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
call it
yeah,
gravy,
yeah,
one of
yeah,
them. So again, every time you do a project or things like that, you sort of tend to maybe gravitate to one, two, or more people, and you form friendships, and if you're lucky, you continue with those friendships, and that's what happened to me. So I met some really good people there, and a couple people in particular that we became friends. And he called me one day and said, "Hey, Nick," he said, "my agent just gave me an audition for a movie, which he said there was a big star that's going to be in it, and he couldn't confirm it, but he thinks it's Robert De Niro." And when I looked at it, I thought of you right away. He said, "You would be so much better than me at this." He goes, "Why don't you, I'll reach out to my agent and talk to him about you, and then to see if he'll send you the audition." Now, in the acting world, like, that never happens, because most actors, I don't care.
I know.
They may say, they're friends or whatever, but
Yeah.
man, they keep it to the vest. You know what I mean? And they do not
it tight.
share things like that. But that's the type of person this guy was. So his agent reached out to me, and he said, "Listen, I don't represent you, but why don't you do an audition? And if I like your audition, and if you want, I'll represent you. And then I'll send your audition in, and then we'll see." So I auditioned. He liked it. He signed me. And he gave me a phone call, I don't know how many, couple weeks later, whatever, and he said I got the part in the new Robert De Niro movie. Excuse me, that's coming out.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. It's coming out to theaters, actually, March 21st, this March.
So check out March 21st. Title of the movie?
The movie's called The Alto Knights, Knights.
The Alto Knights.
The Alto
March
Knights.
21st?
March 21st, it's coming to theaters. And you can actually pull up the trailer. They just released the trailer, and
Okay.
I'm in the trailer, actually.
That's
but,
awesome.
But like half
yeah,
a second or a second.
But you're in there. It's
So
fine.
yeah, but I got me in there. And the movie is a true story based on two characters. It's two boyhood friends who grew up together, who ended up in the mob, Frank Costello and Vito Genovese. And the movie is based on the eyes of Frank Costello. So Frank Costello is sort of narrating it throughout the movie, and both characters are being played by Robert De Niro, which I don't think
Doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. So, and if you look in the trailer, you'll see Frank Costello and Vito Genovese having a conversation, but it's
That's
Robert
awesome.
De
They
Niro
both,
each.
yeah, that's amazing.
So, yeah. And I play Lilo Galante, Carmine Lilo Galante, who at the time was the consigliere of the Joe Bonanno crime family. That's my character.
That's awesome. Congrats, man. That's awesome. March 21st, the Alto Knights. Make sure to check it out. Now, Mr. Springsteen, tell us something about this, because Bruce is a legend. You know, he's one of the legends of the legends. Like there's no one like Springsteen. So tell us something about that.
So, as I mentioned, started a band mid-'80s, and then continuing forward with the Heartbreak Band and everything. And throughout all that time, I would always share to everyone I would talk to within the music industry that one day I'm going to be on stage with Bruce Springsteen and do one song in front of thousands of people. Like that was like
The dream,
the ultimate bucket list. I saw Bruce, the first time I saw him was 1980, December 8th, the night John Lennon died. I saw him at the Spectrum in Philly. But I started following him in 1975 as a freshman in high school. When I saw him at the Spectrum in 1980, truthfully, I envisioned myself being on stage with him at the Spectrum at that moment. Like, I just saw myself being with him. So that was 1980.
Premonition.
So, yeah. So in 2009, right before they tore down the Spectrum, it was second to the last show at the Spectrum. It was October 19th, 2009. I said to myself, man, I know that if I can get close enough and have my Elvis suit and have a sign, can the king sing with the boss? I just know that he'll invite me up on stage. So my wife and I, we were able to get tickets. We won a lottery to get front of the stage. Like, all the stars had to be lined up, right? And during the show, the whole band was joking with me. And then during the middle of the show, he's like, all right, he goes, we're going to try this. We're graced by the king himself. And he starts playing All Shook Up. And then in the middle of it, he goes, all right, king, come on up. And like the crowd went crazy, 20,000 people at the Spectrum. We're on the big screen TV, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, like this is it, you know, like my dream, you know, and I'm climbing up on stage, and Bruce puts his hand out to help me, and it's all on videos, so you can see it. If you go to YouTube and type in All Shook Up Springsteen, you'll be able to pull it up, the whole thing, you know. And I remember saying to myself, there's little things that I specifically remember, and one of it was I can see his hand right in front of my face trying to help me up on stage, and I remember saying to myself, don't touch him, I'll do it myself. I don't know why I had that attitude, but I just, maybe it was respect, you know, not to touch him, whatever. So I got up on stage, and we were this close, and I just look at him, he looks at me, hands me the mic, I'm like, okay, and I started singing All Shook Up. And I'm singing, and the crowd's going crazy, and next thing I know, I don't know, it's my entertainment within me as being a lead singer. I just took off and started singing and going down the stage and everything. And Bruce, it's a great shot on video. You see Bruce Springsteen, he looks at Steve Van Zandt, and he shrugs his shoulders like, okay, let him go. He's taking over, you know, yeah. So, and then at one point, I dropped to my knee as if like an Elvis move, but then I pulled a hamstring. So I kicked out my leg real quick, you know, when you pull a hamstring. And it looks like a great Elvis move, but I pulled a hamstring, you know. And then I get up, and then I just, because of that and just the crowd, like, I found myself, all of a sudden, I started to go off key. I was singing off key because everybody had probably ear monitors, and here I am. I got the drums banging behind me and everything. So I'm like saying to them, as I'm singing and everything going on, I'm saying to myself, I gotta push this to Bruce. So at the end of the chorus, I go, hit it, Bruce. And he does this guitar solo. Now, this is all, right?
Not planned, just...
Right, making it up as we go here, right? So he's doing the guitar solo, and now I'm thinking, okay, what's next? What are we doing? So I look at Max, the drummer, and he looks at me, and as musicians, you just know, you look at your lead singer, and they'll prompt you, right? They'll just give you signals and everything.
Their leader.
So I look at Max, and I back up, and then I put my hand up, and right at the end of his guitar solo, I go, but it's a 1 for the money, 2 for the show. I changed the song completely. And the band was right there with me. Now we're doing Blue Suede Shoes. We're doing Blue Suede Shoes.
That's awesome.
And then I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I got to stop this. Like, I knew that I like overstayed my
welcome.
Like, but I couldn't figure out how to end this thing. So I see Bruce thinking the same thing. So Bruce is walking up to me as I'm singing, you could do anything. And I go, take it home, Bruce. And I give him the mic. And then Bruce goes, Elvis has left the building. So the crowd went crazy, and I go to the front of the stage, and I bow, whatever, and I jump off stage looking for my wife, and she comes over, and we're hugging each other. The crowd's going crazy. The band's still playing, you know. And then at the end of it, he holds the note, and that's how he gave me my name to this day. He goes, the Philly Elvis, the Philly Elvis. And then he goes, I have no idea where the fuck he came from. That's what he said. And I think he said it because he wanted the crowd to know that this wasn't a plant. You know what I mean?
It just happened naturally.
It just happened.
That's amazing.
So
that's a great story.
Oh my God. So ever since then, like you talk about, what sparks then, here, and everything. So since then, they made this movie called Springsteen and I, a documentary, and they wanted fans of Springsteen to send in videos of their interaction with Bruce. So we they filmed me and my wife in South Philly eating a cheesesteak on a park bench, telling the story like I'm telling you, and then we sent the video of the whole thing. So it made the documentary Springsteen and I, and it's on Amazon now.
You can watch it on Amazon.
And you can watch on Amazon. It's called Springsteen and I. So you can see the whole thing. My wife and I were talking about it, and as we're talking, they shoot right to the video, and then they go back to us, and then they go back to the video, back and forth. So that was a worldwide documentary. So when that got released in 2016, then a few things happened. So then, just like you said, that one decision when I was 24 years old to do a talent show and to say, let's do an Elvis show. Now,
Where are we?
where are we now, right? So now I'm in a documentary. I get a message on Facebook of an organization. They want to hire me to perform in England. So for 10 days, they took care of all my expenses, everything, airfare, hotel, everything, and I performed in England. Then I got a phone call. They wanted me to be a guest singer for the Clarence Clemens second annual birthday bash near Asbury Park. Clarence was Bruce's saxophone player who had passed. So I was like, sure, I'll be a guest singer. So when I went there, that's when I met a whole group of people. The top of the list, Eddie Testa, who's now a big-time entertainer in Asbury Park area, who now, we're good friends, and so many other people, Killer Joe, and I could just name them on and on. And I got to meet, then John Cafferty from John Cafferty Be a Brown Band, and all these people. But anyway, so it's just one thing after another, one step after another.
And I think that's why you never stop.
Yeah.
Well, if you're passionate about something, do it. And don't stop. Don't let society push you down. Many people are going to make fun of you. Many people are going to say this. They're going to talk shit. A lot of people are going to, be like, yeah, that's good and all, but I don't think you're going to be able to do that. You got to do this, boom, boom. You got to be who you are and be authentic and do what you love. Don't quit. Go after it. And if you have a vision, man, go after it. If you have a dream, create the vision for it.
Yeah.
Create the bridges that you can cross over to.
If you believe in yourself, then go for it. Go for your dream. Go have that passion, desire. And I get frustrated, or when people say, "Oh, well, I did that and it didn't work." Well, how many times did you do it? Once, twice? I mean, of course, you may have to do it 100 times before it'll work.
So there's a quote. I'm going to bring it up by, I think it's Lao Tzu. I had tweeted it. He says, if I can find this real quick, one who believes in himself has no need to convince others.
100%.
And I believe that to be so true.
Yep.
I love that quote, and I tweeted it, and it's one of my favorite quotes. But yeah, like, you gotta, if you believe in yourself, it doesn't matter about anybody else. You can take it into consideration, of course, especially if you respect their opinions and whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, it's not their life, it's yours.
That's right.
And
there's so many naysayers. There's so many people who are just negative. And
they live off it.
And they want people to join their negativity
club.
Yeah, exactly.
But they don't build statues of critics.
Right.
That's something I learned. All those critics, all those naysayers, they don't build statues of them. They're not going to be remembered. They're always there. They're always going to be there. It's just background noise, in my opinion. But anyways, so you also have The Confession.
Yes.
Which is a short you made. It won 7 awards, including Best Short Film at the Georgia Shorts Film Festival. I saw it. I loved it. Amazing, by the way. Tell us
Thank you.
about that.
So what happened was 2000, I think it was 2018, I got into a bad accident. Bottom line was my fibula bone broke in half, my tibia bone got dislocated.
Was it tib fib?
I was all busted. And so rushed to the hospital, they operated on me, and the very next day, they wanted to keep me for rehabbing. I'm like, nope, I want out. Whatever I got to sign, I want out.
Get me out of here.
If I'm going to be miserable, I'll be miserable at home, not here, So I went home, and, I was laid up, and I sat there the first night, and I remember I was sitting on the couch, because that's where I was for I don't know how long, with my leg up. And I said,
I've been through some injuries, so I know what it's like.
Yeah. And I said, okay, I'm going to turn this into a positive. So I literally grabbed a memo pad and a pen, and I started to write. And I was writing a feature script, a feature film, a script. And it was about 2 brothers in the mob, and they, not to say that they're idiots, but they get into some trouble, and the mob wanted to take them out, and on and on. And it's a love story about one of the brothers with his wife, and they had a child, which he didn't know because he was in jail for 20 years. And then there's a love story between the 2 brothers, and then there's the adventures of the New York mob after him, and the Philly mob, and the FBI, so anyway,
It's like an adventure too.
Yeah, it's actually a comedy slash adventure type of a movie. So in the middle of that, in the middle of writing that, literally I'd be up till like 4 or 5 in the morning, just writing hours straight through, writing. I stopped. I said, wait a minute. I said, on my IMDb page, I have credits for acting and things, but nothing as a writer. I need to establish myself, get some sort of credibility.
Versatility.
As a writer. So, went to a clean piece of paper, started writing a short film. I said, okay, I'm going to write a short film, send it out to film festivals. Hopefully it'll get accepted. If you get accepted into a film festival, that's a big deal, because film festivals, they get films from all over the world, literally. So if you get accepted, I'll take it. Like, that's a big deal. So I wrote a short film in about 4 hours. That Confession, I wrote it in about 4 hours.
Wow.
And I remember my wife goes, oh, how's it going with your movie script? I'm like, well, I stopped and I wrote this short film. I want you to read it. She goes, what? I'm like, yeah, I just wrote this short film. I said, read it. Tell me what you think. So she read it. She looks at me and goes, you just wrote this now? I said, yeah. She goes, no, you didn't. I said, yeah, I did. I just wrote this now. She goes, it's pretty good. I'm like, okay. So once my foot healed, I immediately got a camera crew, director, everything, and we shot it in the Harrisburg area, and I started sending it out to film festivals, and it started getting accepted left and right. The New York Film Festival, where they actually showed it at the big, on Times Square, where they showed all the films at the film festival, and then it started winning awards. And then I got an email from the Georgia Shorts Film Festival saying that it's up for Best Short Film and you're up for Best Lead Actor. Would you mind coming to the festival? Because you're up for those awards. I'm like, sure. So I flew out there, not even thinking of winning, not even hoping to win. I was just so honored that they accepted me.
You had your film.
And the fact that it was nominated for Best Short Film and Best Lead Actor. And it turns out that they saved the Best Film for last. So there was 5 nominations for Best Lead Actor. I did not get Best Lead Actor. And then came the movie, and I just thought, oh yeah, I saw the film that the best lead actor who won, what his film was. I was like, yeah, it's going to win. It's a really, really good film. But then they announced my film as the winner of the best short film.
So you were surprised.
Oh, big time, man! I was like shocked, you know.
Do you think it was better that way?
Yeah, because
When you don't see it coming?
yeah. I mean, I was shocked. I had nothing prepared. You know, you get up there and you talk in front of, you know, your peers, you know, the fellow actors and directors and producers and whatever. And so that was pretty exciting.
What does it take to accomplish something like that in terms of getting the camera crew ready, getting the actors together, whatever the case is, getting the production, everybody?
Well, again, it's being in. This was after Backfire, so and other things that I did. So I started to establish a network of actors, and whether it be good friends or just a network of actors, and a guy that was in Backfire with me. I called him up. There's only two characters in my short film, myself and the guy that plays the priest. And the guy that played the priest, I reached out to him. He's from
In one location.
the New York
Which is
area.
impressive because, in my opinion, real quick,
Sure.
because it's hard to keep the
Attention.
of people when it's just one location. And,
Yeah.
But when I watched it, I was captured.
Yeah.
So, like, it's hard. I think that's what I'm looking for, the word. It's hard to capture people when you have that one location and keep
Sure.
them. You can capture them, but then you lose them 5 minutes after, whatever the case is. And for people that obviously don't know, that's very, very hard to do. And if you notice with a lot of movies, a lot of shows, different shots, boom, 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 because of that.
Yeah.
And they'll use the same location twice, but they're going back, forth. But to do it all in one sitting, that's very hard.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, it is. You know, between the priest and myself, of course, you had the different angles, but just like you said, it was one location. What really helped that was the score, the person that wrote the music. And although I have a good ear with music, I play a little guitar, but nothing, you know, just for my own whatever entertainment. But in my head, I had the score in my head, and I communicated that to the person who could write it. And it took two times. So I explained to him what I was thinking. We you know, well, this is during this part. I would like the music to be here. Like we just talked about it. And then his first go around, he almost had it perfect. And I said, oh man, I said, just a couple things. And then the second time, it was perfect. And that's what we used in the movie, is what he wrote. And that really helped it because toward the end, the music intensifies, which brings
It brings it to the climax,
Right.
or the whatever you want to call it, brings it all full
Right.
full circle. And a score is immensely important to a film, whatever film it is.
For
Look
sure.
at some of the legends like Hans Zimmer or whatever the case is, but they build, it resonates emotionally. So, for example, there's a score called Frank's Choice. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's for The Punisher, John Bernthal. Amazing. And it fits who the character is. It fits the film. It fits everything. And there's certain things like that, whether it's a film like Interstellar, let's say, Hans Zimmer, and it ties you emotionally. It really moves the film. And I don't think people notice, for the average viewer that goes to the movies, they don't realize how much of an importance that score really plays.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God, you could look at a scene and do 3 different scores to it, and you'll get a totally 3 different. That's all right. Totally 3 different, you know, impressions of what the scene means, the flow, just everything. I mean, it's crazy. But he nailed it, man. This guy, he did a great job, and that really. That did it as far as putting it where I wanted it.
Over the top.
The intensity of the movie. Yeah.
when it comes to the film, right? You talked about putting it over the top. What do you think are the most important aspects when it comes to making a film? What is like? Is it the director? Is it the actors? Is it the screenplay? In your opinion, how do you see it?
Well,
Because obviously, real quick, many actors feel like they're the most important piece on the chessboard.
right.
Right? It's just how it is. And,
Sure.
but the director has to put them in the right place, in the right atmosphere, right this. But then you have the score, which, like you said, puts it over the top. But then you have the screenplay. If you don't have as good a screenplay, you have no foundation. So tell me, what do you think?
So, and I'm not no big actor but I've
You're in the
seen
industry.
enough, and I seen it where this is my opinion, but you have a writer and you have a director. And it's so important for the writer, because the writer who wrote it had the vision, right? As they're writing, they're envisioning what they're seeing, what they're writing. But the director may have a whole different viewpoint of the scene. So, first off, all the egos have to be put aside, and the writer and the director has to be on the same page.
Very hard, though.
Yeah, it is. But be able to, it's a collaboration. It's not just one, it's not just the director directing. Well, you have the director and you have the AD, the assistant director, and other people, but when you have collaboration, to me, that brings out the best in what you're doing. And Barry Levinson directed The Alto Nights, famous director. And his style and what he allowed us actors to do, and frankly, like the 3-4 scenes I was in, I think 2 or 3 of them, he allowed me to have lines, because there was the scene, and then as he explained it, he let the creativity flow, and it allowed us to, what looked like was scripted lines, which wasn't, but it was what we felt within the moment. And I think good directors do that.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to talk to you next. How often are you able to get something like that? Because it's different, right? You have movies, series, television. Everything's different. When it comes to letting the artist and the actor show themselves, and how they feel or what they're thinking, or just freeballing a little bit, how tight-knit do they keep it to the script in your experience, and how many times do they let you just play around with it?
Well, I don't think it's a question of percentages or how many times.
course, yeah.
It's just based on the director himself, like The Sopranos. So Lou Martini Jr., who was in The Sopranos, he was in season 6. He was the optometrist. And he was Johnny Sax's wife's brother in the series. And I met Lou through the years of I was actually a guest singer for a talk show in New York, and he was the guest actor. Like, he was a guest on the show. And that's where we met, and we became good friends. So anyway, Lou shared with me, and I've read this then too, that Chase and everybody running The Sopranos, you were not allowed to go off script, not one little iota, like not one little word, like you don't add a curse word, nothing. Whatever said on the script is what you had to say. So, and that was a very successful series. So,
Legendary.
yeah. So, I mean, again, it just depends on
Who you're dealing with.
who you're dealing with.
So we also have the documentary in which you were a part of, Do You Believe in Miracles? Tell us a little bit about that. It's about an individual who was diagnosed with 8 tumors, stage 4 cancer, right?
Yep.
And after a sign from God, he was supposedly cured, eventually cured, and he was cancer-free to this day. So tell us about your involvement with that documentary.
So a couple things I'm in the middle of producing right now. One is my original movie script that I mentioned that I was writing prior to writing the short film.
Is that called Mob Sense?
Yes, that's Mob Sense. So we're still in trying to get investors and things like that, financing for that. So what happened was I met a gentleman, I want to say 15 years ago, through my wife. And we became friends. And then COVID hit years later, of course, and then I haven't seen him through COVID. And then I saw him. He's very heavily involved in the Catholic Church. He's Knights of Columbus and runs the, during Easter, on the Fish Fridays, every Friday, whatever. And I saw him. I said, Luis, how you doing? I was like, man, you look great. You lost all this weight. And, you know, he's like, well, that's what happens when you had cancer. I'm like, oh, my God. He said, get your food, sit down, and I'll talk to you about it. So he did. He talked to me about it. The bottom line was he was diagnosed with 8 tumors in his, not kidneys, I guess it was the kidneys. And, or his bladder, excuse me, his bladder. 8 tumors in his bladder, stage 4 cancer. And he didn't even, his wife knew he was having problems, but when he was finally diagnosed, he had to go home and tell his wife. And he was sitting out in his patio before he wanted to go in to talk to his wife. This was like 9 o'clock at night. And he saw a cross appearing on the moon. So much so, he woke up his neighbor, and his neighbor came out and saw the same cross. Then he went in and grabbed his wife, and when she came out, the cross was gone. Then he took a few pictures of the moon without the cross. The next morning, his wife was working. He didn't say anything to his wife then, still, because now he got a little confused of what would happen. He went to breakfast with that same neighbor, her and her husband, the 3 of them. And that's when he really looked at his phone, the picture, and he saw above the moon this dot or something. So on his phone, he opened it up, and as clear as day, there's a picture, the face of Jesus Christ. And I have it, and I'll show you.
Yeah, show me, please.
So now or
If you'd like it.
Yeah.
I'd like to show it on camera. if
yeah,
you have it.
hold on. So and I should have had this prepared, so I don't have
No,
to.
it's fine. No.
So I have to go through my pics.
Yeah,
here,
take
but-
your time. Take your time. It's amazing.
Yeah. So he left the breakfast. He all he said was, "Oh my God, I have to go." He said, "I have to go." I enlarged the initial picture so you may even see the face now. Yeah. But this is what he took, the moon, and you see up there. But I enlarged that a little bit. But if you opened it, what's it look like?
Yeah, I can see it.
Do you see it?
Yeah,
The crown of thorns?
Yeah, on the top. Yeah. Show the camera a little bit. If
Right
you can
here?
see, it's going to be hard. Yeah, it's going to be hard.
Yeah. So,
Wow. Okay. Amazing.
yeah, I mean,
I know.
yeah. So he went to a friend of his, which was at the time the Archdiocese of Harrisburg. I can't remember his name now. And he showed him in the Archdiocese, and the priest, he was like, listen, he said, you've been blessed by Jesus. He showed you his face. He's like, you're going to be fine. So now this was when he still had the tumors and the stage 4 cancer. Then he went back home, told his wife. So long story short, when they finally went to, he had 1 tumor taken out. Okay, it was the biggest one. So there were 7 left. So he went to Johns Hopkins to have it perform the operation to take out the rest of the tumors and hopefully take out the cancer. Prior to that, he was on some sort of chemo for about 3-4 months prior to that. And then he went to, the operation was to take all the tumors out and hopefully get the cancer out. So when they went to put him under, when they put you under, the doctor scopes it first just to see, and then he does the operation. So he wakes up, instead of waking up hours later, when he woke up, he noticed that they didn't operate. And he's like, what's going on? He got nervous because he thought, oh my God, the doctor probably scoped me and thought that he's too far gone. So the nurse came in and said, the doctor wants to talk to you. The doctor came in and said, do you believe in miracles? The doctor said, do you believe in miracles? And he said, yes, I do. He said, when I scoped you, the tumors were gone. The tumors were gone, no cancer.
So when he was about to have surgery, he's about to go under, what happened was he had 7 tumors. He had done chemo a little bit. But when he went under, they didn't operate on him because the doctors noticed when they did the scope that
Well, when they looked first, they're like,
they didn't need to.
there's no tumors.
They didn't need to do the operation.
Right.
Wow.
Well, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
He had no all the cancer was gone. Like everything was gone. The only thing was there was a little mark that showed where they took out the first tumor. Not he, another surgeon took out the first tumor, and all there was just a little mark.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I immediately called my friend from New York, who called me about the Alto Nights and the audition, and so he does production as well. So I called him up. I said, listen, I said, I want you to do this with me. And I told him the story, and he was all on board. So he came and we filmed 2 days worth, and we filmed it, we timed it. So he went back to Johns Hopkins 6 months later just to do a check, just to make sure. So that's when we filmed it. We filmed it the night before. We interviewed people, we interviewed him. Then the next day, we shot me driving him to Johns Hopkins. While we were there, everything was on footage. And the doctor, then we filmed him afterwards. And the doctor said, yep, it's all gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So we have that. So we're in the process.
God bless.
We're in the process of putting a documentary with that. But then again, it's about financing and getting the financing and everything. But it's very, very powerful. I mean, we don't have the picture of the cross that he saw, but we have the other picture. And of course, there's going to be naysayers. Of course, there's going to be
Always
doubters. You know, that's going to say, oh, well, especially now today, AI and everything. Oh, yeah, they just but no, yeah. So, and when you have a doctor that says, well, yeah, he has stage 4 cancer, and
Somehow
now
it
he
just
doesn't.
magically disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah, so,
That's amazing.
yeah. So we're, so hopefully we'll be able to finish that and tell the story, because I want to tell that story to the world, man, because it's very powerful.
There's nothing more powerful
Yeah.
than the power of God.
Yeah.
Yep. It's amazing. Amazing story. It's great having you here, Nick.
Yeah.
Amazing time.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, of course, man. First time we met each other was at a table read.
Yep.
Yeah, in around Philadelphia area for the screenplay, a movie we have coming soon based on my father's life. How did you like that, by the way? Did you enjoy it?
Extremely. Like, first off, when I read it, because I had to, the script was given to me, and when I didn't quite know of your father, but once I had the opportunity to do the table read and I got the script, then of course I went to Google and I started reading things. I'm like, holy heck, I was like, this is crazy. I'm like, this is going to be a great movie. So I was just so looking forward to seeing him, and then I met yourself and your brother, and just you guys are just awesome, man.
Thank you.
Awesome
I appreciate
family.
that. I appreciate that. There's
and,
no better compliment, by the way.
Yeah.
When people say that, you can say anything else. Okay, sure, but when you talk about my family, say good family or good whatever the case is, like something like that.
Yeah.
That's actually
Yeah.
means something,
Well, there's no doubt, and I'm not blowing smoke, of course, or nothing, man. I love your dad, man, and yourself and your brother. I mean, it's so yeah. So I'm hoping. I bought the book.
You did,
So
yeah.
when's the book gonna come out, man? I know
So-
I got.
We have the final the final revisions. We have a couple. We have like, I don't know, some artist copies we have in our hands, but the final revised version where it's finally edited, grammar, every comma is correct, whatever the case is. We should have that in hand by the end of February, and then we have a scheduled release for September 1st, but we might move it up. I'm not quite sure yet, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Coming soon, booked. The book booked. You can pre-order at phillybooked.com. Great story. I had an amazing time doing it with my father.
What's the name of the book?
Booked. Booked.
Gotcha.
If you think about it, we'll talk about it in the book, but you're booked at every single moment from the time you're born until the time you go down. So it's we didn't think there was a better title. We went through a couple different ones, but it was the one we settled on. We'll see what we name the movie. Right now, Booked is leading candidate.
Well, I didn't read the book yet because it's not out, but I
Yes.
read the script.
You have the screenplay.
And if the book's going to be like the screenplay, I can't wait to read the book because I'm sure there'll probably be some additional things in there or whatever.
Things change, of
But,
course. You're always trying
yeah.
to make things better.
Yeah.
But, I had a great time meeting you, Nick, when we went to the table read. It was an amazing time. It was a great experience to be a part of with everyone there, all the people that joined and came. And as you know, our good friend Greg Lingo, my dad, me, you, we're all there. It was an amazing time. Thank you for coming to that. And like I said, little decision can change everything else. And now we're here. So
Yep.
thank you very much.
Hey, man.
Had an amazing
Dude,
time.
Awesome. Thank you,
Great
man.
conversation.
Appreciate it.
Remember, Nick Ferraro and the All-Stars, Ballroom at the Phoenix Booth 1 PA, March 1st, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And is there anything else you'd like to
So
talk
I
about?
just want to say the March 1st, we added it's an Eagles celebration. So the band will be playing the Eagles fight song. It's all-you-can-eat buffet. It's a great buffet, appetizers, and then a full buffet. We're going to have raffles. And all the raffles, 100% of the proceeds go towards Special Olympics New Jersey. I've been involved with them the last 5 years. And every ticket sold, $5, every ticket sold goes towards Special Olympics New Jersey as well. So we're going to be raising some funds for them. There'll be people there that help run the Special Olympics New Jersey. And it's just going to be a great night, man. So please, come on out. It's in Booth Wynn, PA, which is in the Philly area. And you can call me. Can I give my number or email address or whatever? Whatever you want. Yeah, so my phone number, I'll give it to you. I don't care, 717-606-4583. You can call me and text me about the event. I'll tell you where it is, how to get tickets. You can get tickets on Eventbrite or email me at nick.ferraro12, Ferraro 12 at yahoo.com.
And we'll put that on the bio section for people to check it out as
Awesome.
well. Sounds good, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks. All right, Matt. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
All right.